welcome to the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. With 4 race starts, we're going to start with our Category 4 riders, then 3, 2 and 1. Our riders are lined up in yellow, that is our Category 1 riders. In green, our Category 2. In blue, Category 3. And Category 4 in red.
The blue Category 3 riders now going through the back of the red Category 4 field, and the green Category 2 riders going through the back of the blue dot Category 3 field.
This group are about to be caught by the Category 2. So Category 2 leaders are about to catch the Category 3 leaders on the road at the moment. They're not far away. They're coming up behind them. We are hitting the finishing line here as we come in. Elevate takes the win. Qualifier race number 1. Solo victory. So into the finish line she comes. Category 1, the fastest riders on the road. Catherine Fuhr in that polka dot skin suit. She answered every attack they could throw at her. She rode clear. Nobody could hold on to her wheel. Catherine Fuhr, your winner of qualifier number 2 on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club in November. What a ride! Look at this. It is an absolutely blistering ride. She comes in to the finish here on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. It's Michelle Gagnon who comes through to take the win. Qualifier number 3. Look at this, another kick. And Walkenhurst, who we've not seen on the front, puts a humongous thing, 8 watts per kilo from Walkenhurst. Gianetti's trying to chase. Can she bring her down? They're not going to do it. Julia Walkenhurst takes victory on the finals. So hello and welcome to the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. It's December already and we have got an absolute cracker for you. It's qualifier race number 1 of the December run of races. So we're going to go through our qualifiers, and at the end of the month, when we head towards the new year, we're going to be bringing you the finals, which is just going to be an absolutely fantastic month. My name's Matt Payne. I'm going to be bringing you all of the action as normal, and in the studio with me is a rather croaky and slightly not quite with it, I think, although that might be debatable. We will see. Emma Martin. Emma.
I can't believe you said that. Just because I've got a little honey and lemon in my cup rather than coffee this morning does not mean I am not with it.
Okay, so you're going to be compos mentis, but not necessarily super smooth. Well, I'll tell you what we'll do. Let's give your throat a little bit of a break first thing, and I think I will run through the map today. There you go. Let's have a change.
Please do.
There you go. It's okay. Emma's left me a note, so it's fine. So here we go. Right. Let's see if I can read or write it. Don't need to do that. We've done this so many times. This is the Jebel Hafit in Arabia that we're using for our women's course. 35 kilometers of racing as standard, 905 meters of elevation, 2 key segmented climbs. They are the Category 4 climb of the Aquarium climb at 9.5 kilometers to 13 kilometers, and the Jebel Hafit climb, which comes at 25.4, right the way up to within 500 meters of our finishing line. After that, then we will have that final run in to the finish, which is a tricky finish here on the Jebel Hafit. We also have a little bit of a rise before our Silent Dunes sprint, and this is actually quite critical because it's a quite steep climb on there. As you can see, the segments for the climbs and for the sprints are all in, and they are timed as a individual segment. So the segments give us a snapshot. They're not there for prizes, but they do mean that the riders who amass the most points in either the climbs or in the sprints, as they go along, they're going to get a skin suit, polka dot for the mountains, as you'd expect, and green for the sprints. So going to be really good to see how that plays out. 4 race categories. We've got our Category 1 in yellow, Category 2 in green, Category 3 in blue, and in red, it's our Category 4 riders. And they're going to be our first set of riders away. It's a cracking race field here today for our Category 4 race start, Emma.
Yeah, it is indeed. And with just 17 seconds to go, it is a full sheet of individuals today, 21 riders. And the interesting news today for December, Gil, Madeira and Idzik have all progressed to Category 3. It's going to be interesting. They're away. We are off. We've got Kirchner, we've got Paolo, and we've got Lloyd in the field today, who took 3rd, 4th, and 5th in the final last week. But 1st and 2nd, they are progressed to Category 3. They are no longer with us. Who is going to take the top spot today in Category 4?
I think it's going to be really interesting because of that progression. I mean, we saw that in the racing, didn't we, Emma, in our finals. And if you haven't watched the finals, please, please, please do go back. You can get it back up and give it a watch. It's really informative for how the racing can unfold. It shows you the differences between our categories and how our categories race. Already here in the start here in Arabia, heading to the Yebel Feet, we are seeing riders being distanced off the back of the group from the start. That kick out at the start is critical, and it's one of those things that takes some getting used to when you're not a regular racer or when you've maybe taken a break.
Well, yes, and as we've seen with different courses, Matt, these riders do take different starts. So I know that sounds really strange, but depending upon the nature of the course, riders often may take a very, very steady start. We often see that with Category 1, actually, when we've got a big climb at the end of the course. But today, Category 4 have put a bit of a push on out of the pen, and we've got a couple of riders. And the graphic on the bottom left-hand corner of the screen, to be really honest, it is my favourite graphic, and I know I do go on about it a little bit. But you can see as the riders are progressing towards the roundabout, the leading pack now going through, you can see the stretch on that Category 4 group already, and the number of riders distance. And now, you can't win the race at the start, but you can definitely lose it, and you really do have to pay attention and really need to think about your start and be warmed up and ready to go.
Yep, it makes a difference. And we're just seeing here Denise Race just pushing on to the back of that group. And in fact, there's some very experienced riders
Ruby
behind.
and Ospina are behind at the moment. Francis is there too. Hoyas, all sat there at the moment. So the 15 riders up and out of the start pen in Category 4. Well, there's now 30 seconds between the leading rider on the road and the 15th rider, the last rider in that Category 4 field.
And what we got to say is, of course, we do say this regularly, it is a evolving and changing season for everybody. We've got lots of riders from lots of different disciplines as being their main discipline, and from lots of different sports joining. And that is really key, I think, in a lot of ways. When those riders come from different disciplines and different points in their season, them different riders going to be racing and riding at different standards.
Well, it is indeed, but nice to see Nikki Lloyd in there. It was great to join Lloyd and her teammates on the Petit Four squad on their ride on MyWhoosh, the community ride earlier on this week. That was great to chat with them and to be part and parcel of that, and nice to see what that squad are doing and the community that they're building out on that ride.
And when was that ride, Emma? The Petit Force ride?
Thursday.
It was Thursday. Okay. And to find them, just go onto the events page of MyWhoosh?
Absolutely. So head over to the events page on MyWhoosh when you log on to ride, and you can see all the community rides that our racing teams are putting on there. So whether you want to join the Risky Biscuits from Category 1 or whether you want to join the Petit Fours in Category 4, there is something there. And obviously you're riding with the people you are watching on a Sunday. So, you know, if you are like me, feel free to use that message function and the message chat and chat whilst you're riding, because it was really nice to get to know our teams and our riders on the Sunday Race Club.
You chatting? No, can't imagine it. Right, okay, so our riders in Category 4 are just hitting the start of the first of those sprint segments. That is the Eldar HQ sprint, and making their way in through that segment as Category 3 are getting into their final minute of preparations. We move up from Category 4 to Category 3. The riders bedecked in blue. Good to see that we got Golden Light from Team Golden Light in here, as well as Rona Tangular in the hub zone. But it's a great field, isn't it?
Took 5th, but again progression, because Alzat, Ospina and Hino, who have dominated really through November, I had to think of the month then, have progressed to Category 2. So it's going to be great to see how they do, but again opening up the top end of the field for other riders.
So let's see how these riders get on. Let's see who is going to be able to take this out. I think it'd be really interesting to see just how this pans out. Category 3 are away, so the second of 4 categories hit the boardwalk. They're going to head into town before we head into the desert and across in towards Al Ain, and then up on to the Jebel Hafid through that UNESCO World Heritage Site before climbing on to that big iconic climb in the United Arab Emirates. And I've got to say, a happy day for yesterday, happy National Day. It is the UAE National Day yesterday, actually on Saturday.
Yeah, there was indeed a ride on MyWhoosh for that.
It was indeed, and it was a 52-minute ride.
To celebrate 52 years.
Indeed. A minute for every year. Brilliant. I thought it was great, and I'm loving the fact, one of the great things about MyWhoosh is we see the difference in the banners there as well. We've seen the 52 across the top of the archway there.
A little bit of celebration.
Can't be a bit of a celebration, and quite rightly so.
No, well, talking about celebration, I'm celebrating the fact we've got new riders in here. Pip Hill joining us. We've also got Driscoll, who joined us for the first time last month and was part and parcel of those rides in November. So great to see her still in here for December. So great to see new riders coming to the Sunday Race Club, as well as our regulars. Let's never forget our regulars. So Giuliano is in here, Idzik is in here, Tan, Barco, Geraldo, Maria Gill is in here. Now, Gill, one of those riders who's come up from Category 4 with Myra Madeira and Natalia Idzik. Now, it's going to be, for me, I'm really interested to see how Madeira and Gill go in here, because they have last month they did really dominate Category 4. We've seen other riders dominate Category 4 and then progress. So Ella Vink, for example, she's progressed to Category 3 and now she's progressed to Category 2. So phenomenal progression over the time. Vink has been with us on MyWhoosh, and she has been with us for quite some time, I have to say. It's not like 2 weeks. She's been well and truly here for a seriously long period of time. But fantastic to see riders with that progression, and MyWhoosh being part and parcel of that progression for them. But I am really interested to see not just what Category 4 podium looks like today, but also the Category 3.
Yeah, I think that's going to be really, really telling how these podiums play out, who goes on those podiums, but also who is taking the start of the month a little bit easier, because you can't just race 365 days of the year non-stop at your best. It's not going to happen because of the need to actually progress and to peak. You're going to need to take some breaks. Really interesting though. This is starting to get quite quick.
There is
I'm
a lot
searching
more
for the correct word here,
because
it's not a blistering attack, but people clearly are anticipating. They want to put the pressure on
the pace of this Category 3 race. Definitely more swift than the Category 4 start, and pushing on as they come into Ferrari World. But let's not forget, the first sprint segment is also at 2 kilometres on this race.
And that you drop down into the Ferrari World here. So you drop down, it is a descent. You can see that on the top right-hand side of the screens on there. And you can just see that the riders as they go through have different numbers, top right-hand side. And if it's a plus number, it is a ascent. And if it's a minus number, it's a descent on the way down. So, guys, keep your eyes on those screens, keep your eyes on the sprints. Really interesting. Now, they've come through to this point much, much faster in Category 3. They were here. Took them nearly 4.5 minutes in Category 4 to get here. Category 3 have got here in 3.5 minutes.
Yeah, they are indeed motoring a little bit quicker today than... okay, but we should expect Category 3 to be moving quicker than Category 4. A good example for you, I did have a look at the finals, as you would expect me to
Emma's got stats. No.
Emma has stats, yeah. Now, what was really interesting in last week's final, now we were on the Passo Alto for the November final in the women. The winning time in Category 3, 1 hour, 20 minutes and 55 seconds. The winning time in Category 4, 1 hour, 25 minutes and 33 seconds. So around 4 minutes, 40 seconds separating those two squads.
Okay, so you got the numbers. Let's have a look at the numbers in Category 2. I like simple numbers like 4, 3, 2 and 1. Right, we have a real good field of riders in Category 2, including Novelin Kokona of the Ground My Gears squad. But none of the teams fielded enough riders to be a multiple rider team, but lots of our riders who feature in the teams competition in the finals. And it's our biggest race field, Category 2 today.
Yeah, it is. 29 riders on the start sheets as the final seconds tick down. Those green jersey wearers are dominating today in terms of the largest race field and category. Now, as they move up and out of the start pens, there are indeed a number of reasons for that. So we've got Category 3 riders, Alzat, Ospina and Hinau progressing to Category 2, which is fantastic to see. Walkenhurst took the win in the final last week, Janti in 2, Rona in 3, Svardström in 4 and Hadlock in 5th. They are all on the start sheets today. We also have Stefania Sanchez. We've talked about Ella Vink before. Novelin Kokona is in today. Brittany Litton is here. Jenny Daniel is here. You know, this is a really, really strong race field. And Dana Davidson, who joined us for the first time in November, back on the start sheets today for December.
Right, excellent. That's great to see, because we want to see all our riders coming back time and time again. The more riders we have riding, the more people there is to chat to. For if you're into your chatting, there's more riders in to give you a beating. If you're like me and are currently riding at the back of every race field because you're feeling a little bit sore, bruised and broken. And thank you everybody who sent well wishes after the news broke last week on the show that I had indeed managed to come off and have a little bit of a bounce on my head on the floor.
I can't quite understand how you actually managed to commentate on and work on Sunday last week after hitting the deck on Friday as hard as you did.
It's probably, there is a great phrase which is no sense, no feeling.
Well, you said it, not me. And this Category 2 race field, strong start here as well. And you can see on that bottom left-hand corner of the screen, just one rider off the back of this pack at the moment, but very, very soon, I think, to push back into that group. So the riders in the pack, Davidson is here, Daniel is here, Hadlock is here, McAlpine is here, Listen is here, Smithers is here, Vink Garcia. I'm looking at the names in this race field, Matt, and I'm thinking this is going to be a cracker in Category 2 today.
It is, and the riders that are in here, we've got lots of riders who like to have a go, who like to push on, and I think we've seen a change. I was thinking about this because we were chatting with one of the team during the week, actually, from MyWhoosh HQ, and we were chatting about the times and the development, and not just of the actual game, but actually the race performances and the style of racing. And it was really interesting. We all reflected. It really has progressed. It's improved. It has got much more aggressive in terms of tactics. It's also got smarter, with people riding very, very smart and using the game as well.
Yeah, but you know what? I'm going to put a challenge out there. I am going to lay down a challenge for the women's race field. Today, 94 riders on the start sheets.
Okay.
You know, the best race field on a Sunday race club we've ever had has been around this number, 94, 93, 95 riders. I want to see the women's start sheet over 100. That is the challenge. If you want to come and join us on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club, help us get this number of women over 100 on my start sheets on a Sunday, just to make me happy. Because you know what? A happy commentator is a great thing.
It is when you start my side of the commentary
box. Well, if you want to join us, head over to mywhoosh.com. You can download the app and you can get on board and you can ride. If you are already riding and you think, I don't know if the Sunday Race Club is for me, there are 4 very different categories with something for everybody. Head over to the events page on the MyWhoosh website, click on the Sunday Race Club. All the information you need is there to come and join. And you know what? You can use those community rides to build your confidence, because you can get on board with the teams who are racing on the Sunday Race Club and join them riding during the week.
Well, there is indeed something for everybody, so please do jump on board. We're going to jump on board and in with our Category 1 riders, because they are our next category to go. They are the top of the tree now, the Risky Biscuits team, fielding 4 riders, Mina Coyston and Kiera Donny, Marlene Bjarhead and Catherine Foy. Sounds like I've knocked my teeth out. So fewer, but Bjarhead, Donny and Coystonen, of the Risky Biscuits team in here, but they are by no means the only contenders in this race field.
Oh, no, you are quite correct. 26 riders on the start sheets today as the final 10 seconds tick down. I think we are going to be in for a cracker. Can anybody beat the dominance of Catherine Fua last month? Well, away go our Category 1 riders. They are up and out of the start pen. Fua did indeed take the win in the November final, and she took the win in every single qualifier that month. Well, who is here that could change that? We've got some new riders in here this month, Matt.
Okay, so let's get on to the riders in a moment, because I know Emma is itching to talk to you about and to chat with you about and to tell me and inform me about who is in here in our new riders. I know Emma was very excited when the start sheets came through today. We were sat down I was sat in the studio, and Emma was down in the canteen with the coffee, basically, and she was sat down there going through the start sheets, and as they came off the printer, I heard a little squeal of delight come from downstairs. It was very entertaining, and I'm not surprised, because I'm
hoping they've all taken the start line.
Well, that's going to be key, and we're going to have a little look through that all the way through. We have got a lot of our regular riders. So I'm going to go through some of our regular riders here in this race field, because Roberta Bassoni had a great previous month. Good to see we've got Jessica Menendez in here, a rider who we know is very, very strong, particularly on the climbs. Going to be interesting to see how she goes. Got Catherine Fua. We know she's always going to be a challenger when it comes to the climb, but people like Lisa Manson, Marlene Bjarhed are riding very strongly as well. We've got people like Madonna Dega-Mashandi, who's also riding really on top form at the moment, and it's hovering around there. We've got Celine Columbi, who you could never discount when it comes to a finishing climb. It really is a who's who of the top of MyWhoosh racing. But that doesn't mean those are the only riders that are going to be in there and challenging. And I think that's going to potentially be boosted by the weather in the Northern Hemisphere, because although we have riders from around the world, pretty much the whole of North of Europe at the moment seems to be
very cold.
Minus something.
Yeah, it does indeed.
And that always encourages people, instead of going out and riding on ice, a concept that the team behind the scenes in the MyWhoosh HQ will be going, ice, that's something you put in your drink, not something that you go walk on, ride your bike on. But in the Northern Hemisphere at the moment, it is absolutely Baltic. It's very, very icy. And instead of doing that, a lot of people are jumping on their turbo trailer and getting on board. And I'm hoping to see some of them on the MyWhoosh rides.
Well, if anyone was watching the cyclocross from Boom yesterday, they were definitely riding on ice or skating on ice on bikes, but not here on MyWhoosh. The sun is shining as we head towards Ferrari World.
Indeed, and I'm hoping it's going to be shining down on us. I'm looking forward to a bit of heat at the moment to stretch out on the way in. And I think that's the same for the riders.
Well, I'll tell you something, they're going to be feeling the heat on this course today. A, because the competition is going to be really good, but B, by the time they get halfway up the climb, I imagine the fans in the pain caves are going to be working to maximum.
They are indeed, and I think that is one of the things, isn't it? It's really important to get set up correctly for riding. It is simple to jump on board, and that's been aided by the fact that we've got new lower specifications. So if you've got a iPhone, for example, the level of iPhone or iOS device that you can ride on now has dropped down. That means that you can jump on board with lots more different devices. So if you've been watching thinking, oh, I want to have a go, but I'm not sure whether it'll work, have a look. It's changing all the time. It's improving all the time. There's a wider range of devices you can jump on board with all the time. If you want to race, well, that is a slightly different thing, particularly when we come to the Premier Division in terms of racing. That is the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club, because for that we are using basically what are going to be UCI specs, and that means that we are looking at riders to be able to prove that they can do what they're doing. That's two methods of recording your power. It's the power passport, it's the verification. And over the next few weeks and in the run into the next season, and of course heading towards those World Championships that have been launched for October, and they're going to be coming out in October 2024, we are of course going to be bringing you a lot more about how to jump on the Sunday Race Club and get riding, which is
Wow.
really, really key.
Talking about riding on the Sunday Race Club, take a look at that. This is the first sprint of the day, which is the first segment here. So 5 300-metre sprints today, plus the 2 climbs. And you can see here is Category 2 and Category 3 riders who are dominating the top of the times in this category, which, well, the story it's telling you is that those are the race fields that are moving fastest through the 2 to 2.3 kilometre mark. So Vink setting the fastest time, 31.8 seconds as we move through there. Category 1, to give you some idea of the pace they're moving at, currently 25th through to 47th.
Wow, that's a long, long way down that, and that shows you that they're taking it a little bit steadier now. Category 4, of course, set off first, and that race field is starting to get stretched out once again. Now we are on a climb and we are ascending. That's because we are on the aquarium climb. We have started the first of our categorized climbs, so that is the aquarium climb. This is a climb that takes us from 9.5 kilometers of the race route to 13 kilometers. It is, as the name suggests, an aquarium climb. It will take you in through the aquarium under the tunnels. And what is critical about this is the first really big climb. It's almost the first ascent of anything of the day. And as was mentioned on a previous show, the first climb of the day is often the hardest climb of the day. It's the one where your legs have not necessarily woken up to that type of effort and gearing, and it's the first time we get to see. You've got to be in it to win it, and you've got to be in this group, I think, to be in contention in Category 4. In Category 2, they're a lot further back. You can just say that they're coming over the bridges that basically are the way that the riders are gaining any kind of altitude and getting any kind of climbing done. Before we get to that aquarium climb, they're pretty much all urban rises, they're flyovers, they're bridges.
But this is a big pack.
It is a big pack, and to be honest, the speed this is going at, I'm not sure that the speed plus the gain in elevation, the angle of ascent, is not actually going to start taking its toll, because it's a big pack and you've got to be there. Interesting, everybody squeezed up there as they went over the top of the climb, of the top of that little ascent, so that they were in the pack to come down, and it's kept the group together. And that's a real key technique. Now, going from Category 2 to Category 3, Category 3 are about to hit the start. The start and finish of the climb is indicated by the polka dot banners. So that archway over the top there, it has those polka dots, and that is the jersey that will go out, the skin suit that will go to the rider who takes the maximum points in that. You can already see that Myra Madeira has got the green skin suit. She's taken the most points in the sprint so far, which are 3 sprints so far: Ada HQ, Dubai Mall, and the downtown sprint. But we're on the climb, Emma.
We are indeed, and I think what's really interesting is the sprints have been telling us that Category 2 and Category 3 are moving much faster than Category 4 and Category 1. And you can see on the bottom left-hand side of your screen both Category 4 and Category 3 now on this aquarium climb. The aquarium climb is 3.5 kilometres long, and it's the Category 4 riders up the road in front of these Category 3 riders. Now, Idzik, Hill, Lopez, Madeira, Giraldo, all in this group. This is a big group of Category 3 riders, and it's just starting to stretch a little on the lower slopes of the climb. Now, the climb has only got an average gradient of 2.9%. This one is quite a steady one, very, very different to the Category 1 climb at the end that has sections around 13%. Now, dropping back in with the Category 1 race field, they're coming up to 5 kilometres, so they are still some way off that aquarium climb. But let's remember, they did start 15 minutes behind our Category 4 riders who are the current leaders on the road. Now, we did mention we've got new riders today, and I have seen most of them in the race field. So LaRue has joined us. She's a former elite triathlete who is now focusing on cycling. Whitelaw, absolutely phenomenal rider, 5 times represented Australia at the World Road Cycling Championships.
Whoa. Let's just rewind. So this is an Australian rider who's ridden for her country at the World Road Race Championships.
5 times.
That 5 times.
Multiple Grand Tour stage winner.
Oh my goodness.
Phenomenal rider. And now putting those performances in on esports platforms. So it's fantastic to have her in here today, and it's going to be really, really interesting to see what she can do. Now, Michelle Gagnon, who in November, if you remember, Matt, joined us in Category 2.
Yes.
And she put in an outstanding performance. She has progressed, and now for December, she's in Category 1.
Well, I'm not surprised. Her level of performance was incredible. And we're just going to we'll come back to that in a second, Emma. Don't hold that thought. Hold lots of those thoughts. Brittany Litton, currently with the fastest time and the ultimate fastest time through here. When we talk about this being a snapshot, this is what we mean. Lots of green jerseys, 1 blue jersey. I don't need to do the numbers. That's Emma's job. I'm going to do colouring in because that's my level. I say that like I'm not reading the numbers because I am. But what is really key here for me, we've seen Myra Madeira go through there. She's gone through in 4th place there. Really interesting to see that she really is pushing and is up there taking those. And remember, she's of course wearing the sprint skin suit. But Category 2 are really shifting quickly. Now, Category 2 aren't always the fastest set of riders through the sprints, but today they set off very quickly, and that has been the case all the way through.
Biggest race field.
It's the biggest race field, and it's moving fast. So we'll see how that affects it on the climb. Now, we're going to go back. Here's Vicky Whitelaw. Emma, carry on.
Well, I was just saying, it was really great to see her joining us, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what she can do on the climb later today. It's great to have Jacina Menezes back in. She's taking a break from racing with us on the Sunday Race Cup, but she's back in today. And the one rider who is on my start sheet, but she doesn't look like she's taken the start line today, is Mary Wilkinson from the UK, 5 times silver medal winner at the National Hill Climbs Championships, and she's the current Masters Road Race champion as well in the UK. But she's on the start sheet. I don't think she took the start line. My call will go out to her today. Mary, get on that start line next week.
Now, I also know a little bit about Mary Wilkinson.
I know. I've raced with Mary Wilkinson.
You've raced with Mary Wilkinson?
I have, in real life.
Okay.
Not
outdoors,
esports.
You mean?
Outdoors, in a muddy, grassy field.
Were you riding or running?
I was riding, because she is an ex-international elite runner.
Okay, there you go. Mary Wilkinson actually also is a sheep farmer in the north of England. And in the
it's going to be very cold there at the moment.
In the north of England, it has snowed a lot, like about a foot. So it's no surprises that Mary's probably out trying to find sheep that are white buried underneath a whole field of snow somewhere. So Mary, that is white. So Mary, good luck in finding them. We hope you're watching, even if you're not riding. So Mary probably tending to the sheep. Mary had a little lamb.
Anyway, let's move on, shall we? Because should we take a look at what these women are racing for
Should we do
today?
that? Mary, this is what you could have won. Let's look at some prize money, because I always like looking at the prize money, because you know what? For me, it's not just about what people can win. It's a statement of exactly what MyWhoosh means and what MyWhoosh intend esports to be, because you've got to make it sustainable. You want people to be in and riding, and let's face it, who doesn't want to win prize money? It beats Haribo, let's face it.
Well, I don't know, I do quite like winning Haribo. In the qualifiers today, because that is where we are qualifier race number 1 for December. In category 4, the first prize today, 2,160 AED, right the way down and through to 5th place, 432 AED. Now, it is exactly the same in the men's race. It is exactly the same in all of these categories. It's the first 5 individual Let me put my teeth in.
Prize
The
winners?
first 5 individuals who win prize money. So that's category 4. If we move to category 3, you can see the progression in that prize money. So qualifier race today, the first prize in category 3, 3,600 AED through to 720 for 5th. Now, on the right-hand side of your screen, you can see the difference in the monthly final because that's when the team competition comes into play. And in category 3, 18,000 AED for the win in the team competition. Now, in the women's race, let me tell you, in the November final, category 3 only had 3 teams registered. So not all the prize money was paid out because there were only 3 teams, and the prize money goes down to 5th in the team competition as well as the individual competition. Now, in category 2, it progresses even further. So in the qualifiers today, first prize in category 2, 6,000 AED through to 1,200 AED for 5th. In the team classification for category 2 at the end of the month in December, 30,000 AED for that team competition. And in category 1, it progresses even further. So today, 10,000 AED for first place, 8,000 for second, 6,000 for third, 4,000 for fourth, and 2,000 for 5th. The monthly final, Matt, 50,000 AED for first place. And can I tell you, in November, it was the Risky Biscuits who won that from Spartan Obstacles.
By how much?
1 minute, 5 seconds.
So 1 minute, 5 seconds separated 50,000 AD from 30,000 AD.
It did indeed.
Neither of which is to be sniffed at. But that is a team competition, and that is at the end of the month. At the moment, Mary, you could have won 10,000 AED. Now, we head out and round the globe, and one of the reasons we do that is because we have riders from everywhere. Now, Vicky Whitelaw was the rider that was featured, and I would like to see what that means, because Vicky, I think, is an Australian rider. Emma, can we go to Emma's Exchange?
We can do indeed. So 10,000 AED today, as of my app in front of me, 4,084 Australian dollars.
So if Vicky, who's on our screens at the moment, takes a win today, and it's verified at the end, which is obviously part of the process for everybody, then she could be taking home
4,084 Australian dollars.
Or, of course, you could go to the UAE and spend it there in UAE, in AED in the UAE. There you go. Lots of letters. My brain is getting really confused. It's a good job I'm not doing the numbers.
Brain gets confused. Our women are about to come under, well, our Category 1 riders are about to come under the banner signifying the first of the 2 climbs today. This is the Category 4 aquarium climb. It's 3.5 kilometers long with an average gradient of 2.9%. So I think this is going to be probably not as instrumental in the position deciders of this Category 1 race as it will be in the other categories. I can see on the bottom left the split in the Category 4, Category 2 and Category 3 packs that this climb has made. My prediction is that this Category 1 group will go over together unless we see a massive push on the front. But Bialhead is up at 5 watts per kilo, but we've got a lot of riders in this Category 1 race field who are more than competent at that pace. On the right-hand side of your screen, well, Category 2 are moving through as well. Now at 12.2 kilometers into their race, 800 meters off the top of the aquarium climb, and it's still a good, strong group together. A couple of riders distance off the group. In fact, one of our Category 3 riders who has moved to Category 2, she is one of those riders distance off the group, now at around 2 minutes 50 off the back. So Vink is in the mix, Daniel is there, Sarmiento is there, Smithers, Montgomery, Svardstrom, Hadlock is there, Kokkonen is there, Daniels is there, Davidson is still in the mix. So really strong group of riders at the front of this Category 2 race field.
Great to see the riders out on course and on to the climbs. It's a critical part of the race here today. Watching Linda Sarmiento in here. Sarmiento actually in the UK, a very unusual name, but we actually do know people in the UK who are Sarmientos. We actually know too. We do, which is quite unusual because I think it's probably the only other people I know
with that surname
in the UK with the same surname. But I know I actually know another Walkenhurst. Would you believe that? There you go. I don't know any Roners, but it's never mind our circle of cycling associates. This is all about the climb and how these riders managed to get to the top. And at the moment, it's a close pack of riders. They definitely don't need to be looking up into their address book to see who is with them because they're all in sight. Over the top of the climb they come, and as you can see, the banner is actually just over the other side of this rise and into the levelling off. I mean, it just starts to drop down here. We're minus 2% as we go. You've got to be in here.
You're going to push on the descent, though. This is
big push, isn't it?
Yeah, and I love this bit because actually, where a lot of riders would think, "Oh, I'm on the descent. Let me stop riding. Let me take a breath." Pushing on over that and gaining the momentum to start the downhill, absolutely key.
And on this part, on this climb particularly, because you've got a step on the descent. So you go over the top, you drop down, and then there's actually a slight rise and then another drop back down. Now, Catherine Fuhr on the attack here. We touted her as being strong on the climbs. She decided to test the legs of the riders and see who is going to be found wanting, see who is eager to chase. Because one of the things you need to know is who do you need to watch? Who is riding strongly, who's maybe keeping their powder dry, who is looking to push on. Catherine Fuhr went on the offensive. She pushed up there and then eased off when she had a little look to see who was going to respond. Because, of course, there is always the option that you just keep on going, and it can be done. You can solo away to victory, and there are some riders who put in early attacks, who go clear, and they stay clear. And those days are very, very special indeed. At the moment, everybody is answering the call. Everybody is going in response after the riders. And at the moment, it is pretty much the riders we would expect to see in there. Interestingly, Lisa Hermansen right on the front here, really pushing hard. She's looking very strong at the moment. And don't forget, you can catch up with Lisa if you want to see Lisa actually in action. I think it was about 3-4 weeks ago.
Yeah, she was in the MyWhoosh studios, and it was great to have that footage of her racing during the live Sunday Race Club that week. So fantastic to see Lisa still on her bike. She's still in the mix here. She's absolutely part and parcel and central in this category 1 pack. She was in the MyWhoosh studio live on the Sunday Race Club. I'm looking forward to seeing more riders live on the Sunday Race Club. That would be good.
It would, wouldn't it? We can only wish. There you go. We will see how these riders do, though, because we can always watch the avatars. Now, one of the things you'll notice about our riders' avatars is that they all are different because you can personalize your avatar. Now, whilst you might get allocated a yellow jersey as a category 1 rider, and you may well win the green skin suit for being the sprint winner or the polka dot skin suit for being the climbs points leader, you can personalize your avatar and you can change your bike and your kit. Emma, I know you were riding because you said you were on the group ride, on the Petit Fours group ride. You personalised your avatar, I presume?
I did indeed.
And how, first of all, what did you do? And then why did you do it?
What did I do?
Yeah, so what did you do to personalise it?
Well, I headed over to the...
Grow 2 heads, 4 arms?
No!
Set stabiliser wheels on, that's my bike, isn't it?
No. Because you can do a number of things. So you can, of course... personalize your actual avatar's person itself in terms of hair and that type of thing and gender, but you've obviously got the option of, you can see here, resplendent different types of headgear. Now, my personal favorite, actually, there are a couple of riders in here, I like the multicolored striped cap.
So that's the one with like the blue stripes that goes from the centre to the slightly right, pink, yellow.
Indeed.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think indeed I did wear one of those on Thursday.
And why do you personalise an avatar?
Well, one of the reasons for me is the biggest reason is to be able to spot yourself in the pack.
That's not because you've got bad eyesight.
No, it's not because you've got bad eyesight, but actually being able to pick your avatar out really, really quickly particularly when you're racing, absolutely crucial. You don't want to, you know, when your head's down and you're on the 13% segment of the Jebel Hafit, you don't want to have to look up and think, oh my goodness me, which one am I? You want to be able to look up and pick yourself out really quickly. I really like making me have long socks. So again, I pick that out really quickly. So things where you can pick out and identify yourself really quickly in the pack. The other thing that's really useful in terms of personalizing your avatar is that you can pick out your teammates. So in the finals, when the team competition comes into play and you are racing with your teammates in the pack, being able to pick those riders out as well, you know, again, a really, really key. For our viewers as well, you know, if you want to pick out your favourite rider.
I was going to say, it helps if you're watching. It helps us if we're commentating as well.
But that's not the, you know.
No, if you are doing it, it is really key. And I'm with that. I have a particularly, I have a set of kit that I ride, always pretty much on MyWhoosh that I know that I'm wearing. I have the same hairstyle, I have the same set of helmet or not helmet. I have the same bike generally. And it's not because I'm really boring. I don't like to change it. I do like to change, but I want to know what I look like. And if you ride in a group ride, knowing who's around you, being able to see it in your peripheral vision is really key. So when we go over the top of this climb here, and we've gone through here, as we go into that descent, I want to know who is with me. And that means I need to know where I am to know where they are around me. Now, going over the top of that climb, Michelle Gagnon, with the fastest time, and Nens is in there, Kasani. This really is almost a statement of intent. Anybody signed up to the top 9 is saying, we are on form. I'm going to be up with you. And if we're in that top 9, we're going to be in that group. I am in the mix. And that is in part said by the fact that the top 9, all in category 1, have gone through within 0.177 of a second, 0.177 of a second. And I would imagine, Emma, that was that whole group came through together.
They did indeed. Well, 18 riders came through together, which tells me that that is how many riders are in the leading group in category 1. Just before we leave the kit bit, when I finished my ride with the Petit Fours on Thursday, I suddenly remembered that 3 new jerseys had been released on MyWhoosh. And I remembered, as I was about to shut down, that one of them I actually own in real life.
Okay.
So the Look 1985 kit.
The La Vie Claire Mondrian inspired kit.
I actually own a long sleeve jersey in real life. Original. And so I have just changed my avatar to wear it on MyWhoosh.
I have to say that I might be doing the same. I have a very fond memories of the Greg LeMond versus Bernard Hinault La Vie Claire team of the 1980s, 90s. Absolutely brilliant. A fantastic bit of racing. Great era for cycling, and we're entering another one, I think, with people racing in both the men's and women's race teams, and of course with the addition of the new discipline, which is esports, and that's what we've got now.
This is what we're looking at the moment, and this is the leading group in category 3 catching the leading group in category 4. They are not quite 19 kilometres into this race, and let's put this into perspective. Category 3 started 5 minutes behind category 4. Now Sarasuk has just gone off the front of this pack to try and keep that leader on the road at the moment. So Sarasuk absolutely pushing on here. Idzik, Geraldo, Gil, Madeira, Pelagio, Giuliano, all in the category 3 leading pack. It's a big group, and you can see within that group the category 4 riders in those red jerseys. So Kirchner is there, Galeno is there, I think I saw Lloyd in there as well. So that pack now well and truly mixed as they're in this transition section between the 2 climbs.
And one thing we're seeing here is Sarasuk pushing on. Now, we talk about the join, and we've spoken about this many times, about when you get caught in a group. If you're category 4, you will want to move across to the category 3 riders when they come through. And that can be a sudden change. Now, because we're on the climb, Sarasuk has pushed over the top of the climb in front. That means she's been caught over the top on the descent, and that is where the power differential between category 3 and 4 is minimized, because you can use the draft to make up the watts that you need if you're a category 4 rider to stay with category 3. You're using that draft to effectively minimize the amount of effort you need to put in to stay with them, whereas if you're caught on the climb, it's much harder because it is literally watts, it's power that you're putting down,
Yeah.
is going to be the difference.
And that is absolutely key. The place at which the catch takes place really determines what happens in those races. And at the moment, where they are on this slight descent right now, Category 4 riders more than likely able to stay within this pack, utilising that draft to move them further down the race field. Now, at some point, when we get to a climb, it is likely that the Category 3 riders will push on and the Category 4 riders will drop off. But on a descent and on a flat section, as long as there are no real attacks in that Category 3 race, the Category 4 riders should be able to sit in.
And one of the key means of doing that, of course, is to steer into the draft and make sure that you're utilising that draft. So that's going to be really key. So that is the riders in Category 3 and 4 together. This is the Category 2 group. Let's have a quick look at these riders as they make their way up to that same point. So here we go. I just jumped right all over him. They're in vice versa.
I was just going to say, this leading Category 2 pack, Matt, are only 900 metres behind the leaders on the road.
Yeah, and they are really moving quick. I mean, the speed with which they have closed this down. You said as we came in, 19k as the riders came in for Category 4 to 3. Coming together, but this is 2, potentially 3, 4 coming together, and it's not going to be much further down the road, although we've got to remember, of course, on the descent that distance will open up. Simple physics. Yeah,
but also what we've got to remember is from the very start of this race, you know, we said Category 3 and Category 2 were the riders actually pushing on from the start, and that pretty much has continued. Those two race fields have been moving at a consistently quicker pace, which is why Category 4 have been caught. Now, I gave you this for me was the most interesting thing when I was taking a look at some of the stats from the final. Matt's giving me a very strange look in the studio.
I am just grinning my chops off here in the studio.
When I was looking at the stats from the final...
There's a reason Emma's a professor and I'm not.
Well, anyway, when I was looking at the stats from the final, we talked a little bit earlier about the differential between Category 3 and Category 4, and it was around 4 minutes 40 seconds at the finish line after an hour and 20 to an hour and 25 of racing. Now, Category 2 in the November final, bearing in mind Category 3 was 1 hour 20 minutes, Category 2, 1 hour 12 minutes, over 8 minutes quicker than Category 3. So consistently a stronger pace and a much stronger pace, bearing in mind there's a 5-minute start differential between those two race fields. So Category 2, fast and strong moving pack. And the size of the group, you know, Category 2 is our largest race field, and that really alters the dynamics as well because of the time of the riders are spent in the draft.
And you rode with the group, and the comments you made to me, you made to me about riding in that group and getting into the draft and taking the draft and using that draft were all about how it's really good to be able to get in and to hook in, and you get a really positive feel in that draft. It is noticeable, isn't it, when you're in there. It's not like it takes effect and it's a bit like trying to accelerate up in your very first old banger of a car and it takes forever to get up to speed. You can feel it instantly. You know it's there.
Oh yes. Yeah, completely. You do have to, obviously there is some technique to it and there is some skill to actually learning to ride in the draft and make sure your position is good in the pack and not overshoot and snowball over the top and not go off the back and then miss the group and miss the draft. So you do need to ride, you do need to practice, you do need to get used to and learn how to sit in the right position to take the benefit of that draft. But once you've got that skill dialed, it's pretty much like any cycling skill. It stays with you and you understand and you know how to make the benefit of it.
And I was talking to a rider, actually, would that be yesterday? I think no.
I don't know.
Friday. Do you know what? It's starting to take effect on my brain. Silent Jude Sprints. We are on the way through. We'll go back to that point though in a minute about riding. Now, Myra Madeira, again, coming through right up in the top, figuring really strongly there. You can see that Myra Madeira is the only blue jersey on there. And that is indicative of her riding. She always goes for those sprints, doesn't she?
She's moved up in Category 3 for the first time today. But in Category 4, let's not forget, she always liked to sprint the sprints.
And some riders like that. I mean, I have to say,
she likes to turn her legs.
I would be doing that. I would not want to be going into that final climb without having really woken my body up, really pushed it, got everything going, so that when you hit the climb, you are ready to go. Because it is, to some degree, this section, until we hit the start of the climb at 25.4k, this is all about, absolutely all about, being on the ball, being in position, but not burning too much energy. That big lump in front of the riders, that's the mountain.
Oh, energy conservation for me
up there.
Energy conservation for me is key today because of that final climb. You know, the Jebel Hafit is a big climb. It's 9.5 kilometers long with an average gradient of 7%. Now that's an average gradient. It will kick to over 13%, and it does have some steep kickers on it. It does have some short, I'm going to say short flat sections because they're exceptionally short, but the gradient does drop off occasionally. So it does suit, you know, a punchy rider in that respect, but the overall average gradient is still really strong at 7%. Let's not forget that when that climb segment finishes, they've still got 500 meters to the finish. Shall I tell you what? Should we take a look?
Go on then.
Okay, so the map coming up in front of us now is indeed the race course today. So the 35 kilometers with 905 meters of climbing, and 690 meters of that is on that final Jebel Hafit climb, that Category 1 climb that will lead our racers to the checkered flag today. And you can see very clearly on that red climb section the stepped nature of this climb today, and the fact that those gradients will really kick in places. Now, most of our riders, well, in fact, all of our riders are not quite there yet, but very, very shortly, our entire race field will be on the Jebel Hafit, and it is going to absolutely be instrumental in who hits the top 5 today.
And I've climbed the Jebel Hafit on MyWhoosh. I have to say, it is incredibly long. It is very interesting in terms of a climb, in the way that it swoops, it turns, it twists. You've got the hairpin turns. I then went back and had a little look at it on both the men's and women's UAE tours, and the footage and the race coverage immediately after having ridden it. And I was really, really impressed by just how similar it is. And because I was watching race footage, I could see that where I was suffering on the steep bits, there were riders suffering, which made me feel a little bit better. The fact they were going probably twice as fast as me and all the race pace had nothing to do with it. They were suffering, made me feel much better. But how realistic it was, and how very, very open it is. And it's a big, wide road. We are not talking an alpine climb where, on occasions, you can't get 2 cars past each other. We are talking a road that is effectively 3 lanes wide all the way to the top. It's big, it's open, it's exposed, it's windy, and it's a big, big climb. It's a real, real challenge. And it's a challenge to ride outdoors. It's a challenge to ride indoors.
Well, the leaders on the road at the moment, the Category 3 stroke Category 4 pack, are now on the final sprint section at 24 kilometres. They are 1.4k off the bottom of the Jebel Hafit, and strangely enough, well, not really, it's Myra Madeira who's pushed for the sprint.
Yep, Myra Madeira always going for it on the sprints, absolutely giving it big beans. Let's see how she goes. Look at that, nicely in that green skin suit. So Myra Madeira on the front of the race in that green skin suit, looking really good at the moment, and a rider's taking that left-hand turn. You can see the Category 3 and Category 4 race leaders on the right-hand side of your screen. A quick reminder, 25.4k is where the climb starts, and this run-in for our riders on the right-hand side of the screen, we come in on this long sweeping turn here. They're looking for that polka dot banner. It comes into sight quite early. You can see it from quite a long way out. And then we go on to the climb. If you are doing this outdoors, you're going to be coming through Alain and in through the UNESCO World Heritage Site with the history that dates back about 4,000 years in and around you. The riders coming round this left-hand turn here, and the riders making their way up. Particularly of interest, beehive tombs on the side, and I am absolutely, it's on my bucket list of things to do, is to not just ride the Jebel Hafeet, but also to check out the history. Anybody who's been watching the show for a little while will know I'm an absolute history geek and spend a lot of time listening to podcasts about what the riders are getting up to in the racing, but also about the history of various areas, and great history in and around the whole of the area. And of course, a historic day, 52 years of National Days, because it was National Day on Saturday. Congratulations, and I hope everybody's had a great time celebrating that yesterday. I'm not sure our riders will be celebrating until they get to the top of the climb, because our race leaders are making their way up on to the climb. So the Jebel Hafeet climb begins. The race leaders are on to that climb. They are through. Isabel Gerardo leading them on to the climb, and watch what happens when these riders hit. Our Category 4 and Category 3 riders are on to the climb. Keep your eyes on that screen. So here we go, the riders on the climb, taking a look at them. Emma, you've been diving into some stats and some figures, as well as checking out what the riders are up to. This is where we see this push, isn't it? Is there anyone in particular that you think in Category 4 is likely to stay with the Category 3? Or do you just think it's impossible because of the difference in the categories?
Oh, the latter.
It should be.
Well, yes, it absolutely should be. They shouldn't be able to stay with Category 3. We should see those blue jerseys start to push forward from those Category 3 riders now. Though interesting, Sarasuk and Lloyd were the two Category 4 riders in there, and we'll return to those shortly. This is Category 2. Now, I said Category 2 were catching those leaders on the road, and there was a 900-metre difference between those two packs not that long ago. This is Category 2 coming up and under the start of the Jebel Hafeet. So we now have Category 2 leaders, Category 3 leaders, and Category 4 leaders on this final Category 1 climb, heading to that checkered flag.
So many categories. No wonder I get confused with the numbers.
Well, taking a look at this, it's Hadlock at the moment pushing on. She was 5th in the final last week, so she is on form. They were on the Paso Alto in Colombia last week, another course with a long climbing section.
Even longer.
It is indeed a long climbing section, not quite as steep, but a long climbing section. She is in there, Tokanos is in there, Daniel is in there, Kokkonen is in there, Sami Ento is in there, Davidson is in there, you know, Svardström is there. There's some really, really strong climbers in this Category 2 leading pack at the moment, and it's going to be really interesting to see what this climb of 9.5 kilometers can do. Now, bottom left hand side of the screen, this is the reason I love this graphic, because when we start getting towards the final stages of these courses, this is what happens, and you can really see how the nature of the racing is playing out. So Category 2 on the final climb at 25.7 kilometers. Category 1, they're still back at 23.8, so they are still some way off of seeing that polka dot banner signifying the start of the Jebel Hafeet.
So 1.5k to go for the riders. In fact, just going into the Al Ain sprint, the final sprint of the day. Remember, of course, that the green skin suit of the fastest sprint rider is the one that's awarded. You can see, I think that is going to be Gonzalez Ruiz, who's got the skin suit on her shoulders at the moment with the most points. In fact, there we are. Following her through here, whether she's got a big enough lead in the competition, we will see. But as they go through, will they trouble the times of Myra Madeira that we saw was the fastest rider through there at that point? She's still the fastest.
She is
Oh,
indeed.
look at that. Do you know what, Myra? That is some riding, because she has been consistently quick. She's been in the top 4, but as we go into the climb, right up there, and 0.838 quicker than Jessenia Menezes. What I think interesting there for me is that those riders weren't separated by much once you go from Menezes down.
Do you know what's interesting for me?
Go on.
Is that the leading group in the Category 1 race is now 13 riders strong. So at our last checkpoint, we had 18 riders in that lead group. We now have 13. So
and that terrain, there's nothing in there. It's
there
not
isn't.
a lot in there.
But the pace, you know, and the fact that you've got to stay with that pace. So Menezes, Giovanni, these riders all in this group. In fact, let me give you a quick rundown of who those riders are. So Menezes, Giovanni, Van Hove, Bassoni, Columbi, Gagnon, Lundin, Manshandi, Kong, Engstrom, Fua, Ksani, and Hermansen are the riders still in that group.
And that is your Category 1 leading group. Remember that the riders now approaching the final climb of the day. This is the Jebel Hafit. This climb itself, the climb segment, 9.1 kilometers long. Sorry, 9.5 kilometers long if you take a check. I'm just going to do some quick maths. No, it's 9.1. 9.1 kilometers long. And it does finish before we get to the top. It finishes at 34.5k. But that is the climb segment itself. We then have a further 500 meters from the end of the climbing segment to the end of the race, but it's not flat by any stretch of the imagination. It's really technical, and hopefully we'll get a look at that as we run in. But underneath that polka dot MyWhoosh banner here on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club, it is our Category 1 leaders. They are in pursuit of the leaders of categories 2, 3 and 4. And already starting to see riders having to squeeze in as they go onto the slopes. Now the gradient starts to kick in. That means that the resistance within the turbo train, within the smart bike that they're riding, is going to increase. So whether you're sat in the pain cave at home, whether you're in a gym with your friends, you're all going to be feeling that that gradient is starting to bite. Steep at the start, but of course it's a long climb. And further up at the moment, our Category 2 leaders, Jenny Daniel at the moment pushing on the front with Smarstrom along with Smithers. Looks like Davidson is in there as well. Walkenhurst not out of this by any stretch of the imagination, but they are right up on the leaders, and that is actually Pip Hill of the Category 3. So Category 3 shedding all of Category 4, but themselves now being caught by Category 2.
Yeah.
And this is where it gets confusing for the riders, because if you're in this pack and you are not watching the live coverage, if not, why not?
Some people don't like it.
They
don't like the live coverage. They don't like watching it whilst they're racing.
But it is another source of information. Yes, you have to be careful to watch your riding screen, but having a second screen beside you and watching live to see what is happening, you get an alternative camera view. It's not always on your race, but you know where everybody else is. You know when there's a group coming up behind you, you can see that. And if you are able to process that information, and some people can't, but if you can, it does give you an advantage, because our Category 4 riders would have known those Category 2 riders were coming behind, and they have gone rocketing through.
Well, 7 riders have gone rocketing through. It's Kokkonen, Sarmiento, Smithers, Davidson, Walkenhurst, Svardstrom and Daniel.
Yep. Real who's who of Category 2. It includes Svardstrom, who was the fastest rider up the aquarium climb. She's in there. Marcel Smithers, the leader and confirmed winner in the sprints competition today, getting the ability to take pictures of themselves in their green skin suits or polka dot skin suits, or getting somebody else to do it for them, or maybe even just taking a picture, a screenshot of the coverage if they watch it back later. And that's always the other option. You can watch it on YouTube, or of course on Twitch TV. It's MyWhoosh Live on Twitch TV, and that is the best way to watch it live, because if you want a little bit geeky, YouTube sends you out a standard resolution live, and then it reprocesses it and puts you out a better resolution later. Whereas Twitch TV, it doesn't do that. So MyWhoosh Live on Twitch TV gives you the full super duper graphics as you go.
Well, if you are a tech geek like Matt, that's the information you will want to know. If you are watching this for the first time and you're wondering why Jacina Menzies, who's currently leading the Category 1 pack up the climb, is in 32nd place, that's because we have a staggered start. So the Category 4 riders start first, 5 minutes before the Category 3 riders, who start 5 minutes before the Category 2 riders, who start 5 minutes before the Category 1 riders in these yellow jerseys, which is why the yellow pack, the Category 1 pack, are not at the front of the race yet.
Yep, and that number 31, it's 31.61. That is the people still left in the race at this point in the racing. So really is key to keep an eye on where the riders are overall, which gives us that 31st place, for example, for Roberto Bassoni. It is something that gets asked repeatedly, and it's really simple, because although the prizes are paid out by category, all the riders in the women's race field are racing in the same world at the same time. Yep. Now, that is slightly different. If you're going to watch the men's racing later, after this, they are in two worlds, identical, parallel universes. That's one for the geeks out there, and that's way beyond my level of geekery. But it's two parallel universes with categories 1 and 2 and categories 3 and 4 in there. Next. Don't start talking quantum physics. Definitely not. This is riding your bike. It's meant to be fun. So, well, it's meant to be fun afterwards, potentially, because this is going to be hard. The riders on the climb of the Jebel Hafi, every Sunday race club, is hard in its own way for everybody, because it's competition, and it's great competition. It's fair competition. If you want to know all about the rules that make it fair, and all the hoops and barriers that the riders have to go through to make sure that they are actually racing fair, then do go onto the rule set as well as the guidelines. You can go onto the events page. You can download the various rule sets for the racing, the guides on how to get on. Jump on board the videos, have a look at how to pair up your second power device, and so on. Go through that. If you've got any questions, ask the team. They are absolutely amazing behind the scenes, and the support at MyWhoosh is brilliant, and they are there all over talking to everybody, trying to get everybody the best experience they can, doing a great job. Now, let's go back to the racing. Up at the very front of the race at the moment, we're jumping from those 30-plus positions, 2 positions, 1 downwards. Jenny Daniel leading again on here. She's setting the pace regularly when we come to our Category 2 riders. Walkenhurst very close. Smithers and Davidson having to push and yo-yoing a little bit more. And sometimes riders who are yo-yoing in the pace, i.e. basically the pace is going up and going down and going up and going down, are struggling. It's not always, but often it's the case that the riders who are really struggling and having to get out the saddle and sprint, and then they're sitting down and resting and sprinting again, rather than just being able to hold a consistent pace.
Well, Daniel, Walkenhurst, Davidson, Sarmiento, Svaldstrom and Smithers are indeed in this pack. Conan is pushing on and trying to stay with them, but struggling at the moment. Monica Rona, the rider who has been gapped by the group now, so 7 riders clear in this Category 2 race up this climb at the moment, and you know they've still got some way to go.
Just interesting watching the row positioning here. I think Jenny Daniel, they're just steering off to the side there as she's going up the climb. It's a key way to break the draft. Now, when you are travelling at 10 kilometres an hour, there's not much draft. But
neither at 14% gradient.
Well, yeah. But well, if you do 14% gradient at 70 kilometres an hour in a car, there is some draft. there would be. You put your hand out of the car.
But they're not doing 70 kilometres an hour up this
Oh,
climb.
no. Oh, no. Good luck if you can do that. I want to know what motor you're using, because, my goodness, you would have had to have something for breakfast. But there is still draft. There is still advantage. And remember, these races can be won or lost by fractions of a second. And that means that every single what you put down counts, and when you put it down, you see Daniel, you see she's coming across the road, they're going on a wheel, she's moving across, and that is trying to save. If you're on the front putting that energy out, that's for you. You're not putting that energy down so that everybody else gets a free ride.
Well, all of our categories are now on the Jebel Hafit. They are all climbing. Category 2 are now leading this race from Category 3, from Category 4. So it is absolutely climbers' effort here, as we really see Jenny Daniels keeps moving to the side of the road, doesn't she?
Brilliant.
Really interesting to watch. She's
watch the numbers when she does
as well.
So yeah, Jenny Daniels moves to the side, puts the push in. She's gone up from 3.9 to 4.2 watts per kilo. Now to do this, it's really easy. It depends on what device you're using. If you're using an iOS device like an iPhone or similar, or an iPad, push, you literally just touch to the either side of your avatar and your avatar moves. It's that good. So if you just push to the right or the left hand side, it moves you across the carriageway. If you are using something like a Windows-based PC, laptop or similar, you've probably got yourself a keyboard that is it's known as a sweatboard. There you are, that's a technical term. It's a sweaty keyboard. Basically, it's a keyboard so you don't damage your laptop or your computer and your main one by using one that you don't mind getting all hot and sweaty because you're racing. What you do, hit the arrow keys, left or right, and it will move your avatar to the left or right. Depends on whether you want to using a screen or you're using a computer. Really, really key. Now, some real pressure on in the Category 1 race here. They are rocketing up here.
They are indeed. They are absolutely motoring up this climb at the moment. Gonzalez Rua is the rider who's been dropped off the group recently, but Fua is leading the way with Colombi, with Bassoni, with Cassani, with Menendez. Giovanni is there as well. Manshandi is there. These riders are hanging in here because the pace is being set at the front at the moment by Colombi and Fua. Now, we know those two can climb. It was Fua, Colombi, Bassoni at 1, 2, 3 last week on the Passo Alto in the final. Fua, Bassoni, Biarhead is there. Menendez is there. This is going to be a strong fight up this climb.
It is. So we have our Category 1 leaders now working their way through. You can see them moving up through the numbers, and you can see on the right-hand side of your screen when we look at the riders pack around the rider we're watching, which is the rider in blue, Roberto Bassoni. The riders around me seeing yellow and red chevrons. That is as they're diving into the power. They're starting to dig into their upper power levels, and that means as you push into those upper power levels, you're going to get a yellow or a red chevron coming in to indicate that rider is pushing. Now another push off the front here, just seeing a squeeze from Catherine Fua. She's going at 5.5 watts per kilo. Selene Colombi answers her immediately here. Bassoni is almost on the wheels. Menendez, Degum and Shandy are the same. But at the moment, the riders setting the pace are Colombi and Fua, two well-known climbers. Now, Fua goes around the side of Colombi. Fua's time to attack. She pushes on. Bassoni has moved on to the heels of the riders. You can see that on the left-hand side of your screen, the rider in the green skin suit. Don't be fooled. It's still got a number 1 on the back of the avatar. It is still on rider, which is Jessenia Menendez with the green shorts and the green jersey of the sprint winner on today's race. She is in there, but Fua, Bassoni, and Colombi look to be the 3 riders climbing the strongest, with Fua and Colombi generally setting the pace. They're left-hand side of your screen. Right-hand side of your screen, Category 2, well, it's all blown apart here. We saw Jenny Daniel repeatedly on the front. She has strung the group out here. Svartstrom has answered her and has got onto a wheel. And in fact, Svartstrom is going to attack around the side of the corner here. She put a little bit of a dig in there to go up onto the front. She's got Daniel, and Daniel and Svartstrom have a little bit of a gap here. This could be decisive if they choose to push now. 12.5%, steep part of the course at the moment for Svartstrom, for Daniel. Sarmiento, you can just see getting those yellow chevrons across the name there. But Daniel now trying to answer Svartstrom. Svartstrom has pushed. Daniel's trying to answer. The gap is there. It is not coming back down again at the moment. The gradient has eased slightly, and it's gone from 12% to 10%. This is still going to make the legs scream. It's going to make the lungs burn. And at the moment, it's Linda Sarmiento in that inevitable chase position when you've got riders like Svartstrom and Daniel knocking chunks out of each other at the front. Sarmiento is having to answer, and she's holding a steadier pace. Is she holding something in reserve? We will find out, I'm sure, a little bit further up the slopes. The gap at the moment, though, it's opening. And watch the time gaps. 6 seconds from Svarstrom to Sarmiento. Sandwiched in between is Jenny Daniel. This is going to be key. Can anybody behind answer this? Remember that this group had gone right down to 7 with Kokoden, the last rider in the group, going on. She's now at 45 seconds down from Sarmiento, and it shows you just the sheer amount of time you can lose on these upper slopes of a long, long climb. We've got Dana Davison. She's the rider currently in 4th place, Smithers in 5th, Walkenhurst in 6th, but they're all chasing Daniel and Svarstrom, who look to have come back together. Don't be fooled by the camera angle. They are close. They are further apart than they seem on there. Meanwhile, Category 1, Bassoni looks to have gone off on the front on the attack. It looks like Columbi and Fua are going to be able to answer her, but Columbi is the rider who was setting the pace, who is not in with the leading duo. She's trying to come back. You can see that by the numbers. 5.7 watts per kilo kick coming from Celine Columbi, and that's not because she's attacking, it's because she's sort of getting back up to the leaders. Now, can she kick again? Some of our climbers will be able to put in those big digs and then recover and dig again, but you can see on the left hand side of your screen that dot to dot, that multicolored train, that snake-like road up the side of the El Havit being coloured in with our Category 2 and Category 1 riders. They're the furthest on the road. The Category 1 leaders having caught back all but the top 10 of this race field, who set off in front of them in Categories 2, 3 and 4. This is the run for the finish. We are at 29.7k. When we hit 30 kilometers, we will have 5 kilometers left to go. So, Category 1, aggressive and braking, snapping, coming back together again. Category 2 doing the same. We are down to single digits. We are talking about 5 riders in contention in Category 2. We're talking about potentially 3 riders in Category 1, but that is not decisive because the riders behind are not that far back.
No, they're not. Just 2 to 3 seconds back at the moment as Bassoni pushes on with Columbi and Menendez is 3 seconds back with Manshandi. You know, those are strong, strong riders. The question is, can they close that gap down? Well,
yes.
Well, Matt says yes. Bassoni continues to push on at the front.
See.
It's 9% at the moment, nearly under their wheels. So this is a steep section on this climb. They are coming up for 5 kilometers to go in this Category 1 race. So 5 kilometers to go. Bassoni, Fua, Columbi, the 3 riders pushing on there. Manshandi, Van Hove, Menendez, the 3 riders chasing. Can they close that gap? It's now out to 7 seconds. Well, Matt says yes. I think this may be decisive.
It's 8:37. You said can they, and I said yes. I didn't say you didn't say will
You didn't
they.
say they can. They could. They will. You said they could.
Yes. and let me qualify this.
With his language.
There is a reason for that.
Come on then.
Because they could close that down. If they close that gap down, the effort that they put in to close that down would probably lose them the race.
Well,
it might lose them a top 5 position, which is where the prize money is. And that, for me, is the key thing. If you go too hard to chase, you put yourself in the red, you go out of the top 5, you're out of the prize money.
So, well, a little bit further back, Biarhead and Giovanni, well, they are 30 seconds down on the chasing group of 3. So we've got 3 leaders, 3 chasers, 2 riders further back. Really interesting how the dynamics on this Category 1 race has taken place.
Are you going to ask me if they can catch them back?
No.
Okay. I had a great answer as well.
Did you?
And everything, yeah.
Matthew, can they catch them back?
Oh, I get Matthew. My goodness, I'm almost in trouble. Matthew, can they catch them back? The answer is yes, but it might take an alien abduction to get them there.
What are they going to do? A little spaceship going to come over, zap them up and
Have
drop
you
them
never
off?
watched Star Trek when they get teleported from one place to another?
I don't think that within the Star Trek franchise, MyWhoosh cycling exists.
There you go. That's a good question. Right. Should we go away from fantasy and go back to
reality?
They said that about esports.
Well, it is real. They're all riding their bikes. So Busoni at the moment pushing on here with Columbi and Fua. Those are the 3 riders in this Category 1 race, working their way through the other categories on this race field. They're working their way up the Jebel Hafit. They're continuing to push on. In front of them, Category 2 riders. In fact, the top 7 Category 2 riders.
Now, I said they could. I don't think they will now. The chasers behind our leading 3 riders in Category 1, I think, are out of it, I have to admit. In terms of the top 3 positions, unless something goes dramatically wrong or they look at each other, they're out of sight and out of mind, and that is that key phrase that is used on cycling disciplines, from the velodrome to the road to the mountain bike to the cyclocross to esports as well, because it applies to all. If you are out of sight, you are out of mind. It takes that incentive away. It makes it more difficult to chase from behind. I think the winner is going to come from Busoni, Columbi and Fua. Which one? I'm not sure I'm prepared to stake anything on this.
They are 3 really strong climbers. Now, talking about really strong climbers, we've got some really strong climbers in the 6 Category 2 riders up the road as well.
Yeah.
They are not far up the road, but they are indeed out of sight at the moment. You know, this is such a steep section on the Jebel Hafit at the moment. We are really, really pushing as Columbi pushes, Busoni chases. Fua is the rider pushing on to get back onto the group at the moment, but it does change significantly. Look at the gradient, it's gone from 11% to 3% to 13%. It's a continually fluctuating gradient at the moment, and really, really difficult to ride, particularly if you're one of those riders who likes a consistent climbing pace.
So that's Emma. Me, I absolutely love this part. Having climbed up here, I love the fact the gradient kicks and then it eases and it kicks and it eases, and you've got to respond to that as it's coming in through the pedals. You can feel it kicking in. Now, one of the things you need to bear in mind when you're watching esports in general, every platform, every type of esports has this. There is this wonderful thing called time lag, and that is because, and it happens, in fact, in any discipline, somebody attacks, they put the foot on the pedal, they put the power down, and they go. You have to, 1, see that. 2, your brain has to go, am I going to go after them or am I not? When you've decided that, you then have to make the decision that you're going to kick down. When you do, you've got to go after them, and then your avatar has to respond on esports, and then it's got to come through. That time lag can result in losing a wheel, and that is why you see strong riders go. Whether that's going to be the case, we will see. Category 1 looking good. Emma.
Category 2 looking strong. Svardstrom's got, I think, around 15 seconds from Daniel. Sarmiento is 12 seconds back with Dana Davidson. Smithers 16 seconds back, and then Walkenhurst another 20 seconds back on that. So Anna Svardstrom doing a astounding job at the moment. Now, let me just put this into perspective. Anna Svardstrom, she is one of our Masters riders. She was 4th last week in the final. She's a tandem pilot to Olympic standard. In fact, at the Tokyo Paralympics, her and her teammate took the bronze medal.
So, say that again.
Her and her teammate at the Tokyo Paralympics took the bronze medal.
So this is a Paralympian, a bronze medalist Paralympian.
Yes.
She's the pilot on the front. So that's the person on the front, for those people who don't know tandem riding. The pilot is on the front, the stoker is the person at the back, and the pilot on a tandem would be a rider, just any rider who is quality, obviously, because you're racing in the Olympics. Your stoker behind is generally the person who qualifies for the actual Paralympics, and then you have to have a partner. It's really, really important that partnership works.
Partnership is key.
That partnership is key, and we see some really quality athletes doing. People like Katie Compton, multi-time World Cup winner, Anna Svardstrom, going out and racing. And I tell you something, if you've never watched it, go do it.
Oh, it's
Get
phenomenal.
to the side of a velodrome, get to the side of a track and watch tandem riders racing on the velodrome.
Phenomenal.
It's the most, having been on the velodrome on a tandem, as a stoker, is the scariest thing you will ever do in your life, just about. It's hurtling round there. It's scarier than trying to stay on Celine Colombi's wheel, who has gone on the attack again. We know she's class on the attack. This section where it levels, though, she's pushed through that level section and used it to get distance here. Smart.
Yeah, really, really smart riding from Colombi. She was second to Fua last week with Bassoni in third. At the moment, it's Colombi pushing on. She's got 8 seconds on Fua, and Bassoni is right between them. She's 3 seconds up the road. So these 3 riders in Category 1 now stretched on this climb. It's 2.8 kilometers to go until they see the checkered flag. Is Colombi going to take the win today in Category 1, or can Bassoni or Fua do anything to stop her? She's got 4 riders now in front of her until she sees the leader on the road. She's got Dana Davidson in her sights. That is the rider she's going to catch. We're along with Linda Sarmiento. These 2 riders in this Category 2 race, they're in the top 4 in the Category 2 race, and they are about to see Selena Colombi, the leader in the Category 1 race, just ride straight past them.
I don't think there'll be anything they can do about it. The power that is being put down at the moment by Celine Colombi, it is phenomenal. She is an absolutely class climber. We see it time and time again. She proves it time and time again. Absolutely flying at the moment. She has 3 riders in front of her. The rider she now sees, she's coming up on the back wheel. Dana Davison is going to see Colombi coming up alongside. Davison is kicking here. She wants to try and go with Colombi if she can. You can see a lift in her power. Her power to weight ratio is increasing, but Colombi kicks as well. Colombi does not want any passengers here. A little bit of a kick out of the saddle there. Celine Colombi, she wants to get up there. She's in a hurry. This rider wants to reach that finish line first. Look at this.
She's desperately trying to keep that pace high to make sure that she goes up and past those riders. I tell you something, Bassoni is still digging in behind. It is just 7 seconds back. Catherine Fua now further back down the mountain.
Yep, that elastic has snapped. It's an old commentary phrase, but it's a very true commentary phrase. The elastic, it bounces, it yo-yos, it stretches, it compresses, but you can only do it so many times before it's going to snap, and I think it has snapped well and truly. Anna Svarstrom, remember, Paralympian medalist. This is a rider who is absolute class, being buffed at the moment by Celine Colombi, somebody who's proven time and time again that she can climb on esports, and boy, can she climb. She's absolutely flying now. The Italian climbing clear of the Swedish leader of Category 2. The Category 1 leader is now number 1 out of the entire race field, having caught back all of the other riders in the other categories, as well as leaving behind the riders in her own category. Celine Colombi now needs to settle in a pace and solo to that finish. She has just over 2 kilometers to go, just over 2,000 meters. She's a long way up in the sky, climbing up the Jebel Hafit. The Hafit climbs 690 meters of ascent, part of that 905 meters of total climbing in today's 35-kilometer race. She takes the left-hand turn outside the Mercure Hotel. Fantastic views from the rooms there as you look out down on the Jebel Hafit. At the moment, though, it is an Italian who's scaling these slopes in the lead. It's an Italian in second place. Countrywoman Roberta Bassoni in second place. And you know something? This is not over yet. It's 7-8 seconds now. Normally for your distance for a reason. But are we going to see Bassoni getting onto the wheels of Colombi? That's in the Category 1 race. Category 2 race, Svarstrom's lead from Daniel. Well, it's 19 seconds or so at the moment. She yo-yos between about 15 and 20 seconds. And at the moment, Anna Svarstrom is looking strong. She's climbing well. She's not got the pace of the 2 Category 1 riders, which isn't a surprise.
It's not a surprise, is it?
I mean, bear in mind that the height ascent on the velodrome is about 4 meters from the black line to the top of the banking hanging on the boards. It's not actually that high. It feels a lot higher when you're riding it, believe me, but it's not actually that high in terms of vertical ascent. So Smartstrom are doing a great job of riding strongly here, setting a pace and showing her class here. In Category 2, she's ahead of Dana Davison, Jenny Daniel, then it's Sarmiento as they climb the hillside. This is a great ride. I'll tell you something, they have been smart in their riding up till the climb, but they have then used the climb to their advantage. And Celine Colombi kicking and attacking across that flat section to get the distance. Very, very, very smart.
Well, what's really interesting for me is Roberta Bassoni. You know, she's still at the same time gap. So she's riding at the same pace as Colombi once that gap had gone. So she's 8 seconds back, and she's staying 8 seconds back at the moment. Now, there's 1.4 kilometers to go. So there is still time in this battle between Colombi and Bassoni. Svarström now 23 seconds back, but she is indeed the leader in that Category 2 race. Now, interestingly, she's got about 10 seconds on Davidson and Daniel, and Davidson and Daniel are working hard. Now, for me, this is interesting. So, 4th place in the Category 1 race, Amelia Van Hove, is currently around 8 seconds behind Daniel and Davidson. Now, if Van Hove and Sarmiento, who are with her, can all start to move up, we could see the Category 2 race really start to play out, because currently Sarmiento is 5 seconds back off Daniel and Davidson. She could get pulled up and back into that mix, and then we could see a 3-way fight for that 2nd place.
I'll tell you something, it says everything, doesn't it? That she's on the front here and clear. I mean, this is a rider who is the European Road Champion 2023. Celine Colombi.
Well, yeah, I know, but we're watching Roberta Bassoni.
I know, but
you need to be specific.
All right, I'll be specific. Our race, okay, Roberta Bassoni is chasing Celine Colombi, who is our European champion.
Thank you.
On the road. And I think that says a lot, because the course itself is incredibly tough, given where it was held, and it was a very tough climbing course, absolutely showing that she is a class on wheels when it comes to climbing, and it's being proven today. Now, Roberta Bassoni, we talked about her being a real one to watch. She has come from further down the field and worked her way right up through the race fields, looking stronger and stronger with each ride as she's got on here. It's got to be a matter of time, hasn't it, before she takes away that win and she wins in the final, and she maybe even can take a long stretch, because people who just sort of come up very quickly tend to drop down very quickly in form. People who take a long time to come into form tend to take longer to drop that form as well. And that tends to be how it works. Not for everybody. It's going to be interesting to see how that battle progresses between them. I think for Celine Colombi, though, she's going to be reveling in the run for the line. She's come through. She's got the polka dot skin suit as the fastest rider up that climb.
She's got 300 metres to go. That's now 200 metres to go. So Colombi, who has led in the latter stages of this climb, she's going to be the first rider in this race today to see the banner. Bassoni is 6 seconds behind. She's picking up the pace, but there it is. That is the finish line today at the top of the Jebel Hafit. Selena Colombi, she was 2nd last week in the November final to Catherine Fua. This week, she's going to take the win in qualifier number 1. So Colombi takes the win in qualifier number 1 for December. Roberta Bassoni comes in 2. Catherine Fua, she's going to sweep around the corner and see the finish line. That's going to give her 3rd place today in the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. This is qualifier race number 1 for December. Anna Svarström is still in the lead in that Category 2 race. She's 10 seconds behind Fua. Amelia Van Hove is then on the road with Jenny Daniel and Dana Davison chasing hard behind. But right now, it's Catherine Fua who is going to take 3rd place in this Category 1 race.
Tell you something, if it was all about the number of podiums that you can hit time and time again, Catherine Fuhr on a podium is almost surefire bet. She makes it into third place here today with Columbia Bassoni Fuhr. Your 1, 2, 3, great result there in category 1, and I think we're going to see Van Hove go over the top here. So Amelia Van Hove for Belgium, chasing the two Italians and the Swiss woman to the line. She goes through as behind. Anna Svarström takes the win in category 2. She goes through in the lead just ahead of Dana Davison, who closed down that distance towards the end of the race. And long-time chaser with Davison, in fact, with Anna Svarström for a long time. Jenny Daniel, who set the early pace on the climb, is going to come through for third place in category 2. Fantastic riding by our riders. Now, the results are currently live on mywhoosh.com/results. These are the ones that are in so far. These are the riders in through the line. 7 riders getting to the top of the time. Now 8 with Jenny Daniel joining the number up there. So Columbia, Bassoni, Fuhr, Van Hove and Menezes, your top 5 in category 1. It's Svarström, Davison, Daniel, Sarmiento as they come in over the line in category 2. And remember, all of the results are going to be up on the website. They're live at the moment. They will turn to unofficial when the race ends, and then they will all be verified. Fantastic racing here today. Emma, it was an absolute cracker here today. If riders want to get in touch with you, tell you about their racing, tell you what they've been up to, and tell you what they're going to do on MyWhoosh, maybe even give you their race tactics in advance. We promise we won't tell everybody, honest. Where can they get in touch with you?
You can get hold of me at Biking Emma. Please do get in touch. And you never know, I might just turn up on another team community ride sometime this week.
Okay, we will see if Emma's voice, vocal cords, and throat hold together long enough. Thank you, Emma, for joining us here today and surviving the women's race. Now, we will be back with the men's race very shortly. Make sure you tune into that. Give us a subscribe. Give us a follow. Make sure you jump on board and are with us for the men's race. My name's Matt Payne. You can get in touch with me. It's at Matt Fixer Payne. I've got to say a massive thank you to you for watching, to our riders for riding, of course, the whole team behind the scenes at MyWhoosh, not just for making the whole platform happen, but as well bringing us the pictures here today. They work really hard behind the scenes. We are merely the cherry on top of the cake when it comes to the commentary. There you go. That's enough for me. I'm going to leave you to go grab some food, some fuel, rehydrate, refuel, get ready for the men's race. But from Emma, from myself, from everybody at MyWhoosh, stay safe. We'll see you again soon.
Goodbye.